Hi, good evening. This is MnemoConnect, one of the 5 live series on consecutives. We have 5 different live series, which we'll call them Mnemo Channel. On Mnemo Channel, we discuss conscientiologic subjects, especially those most related to Scheveitzer, through debates and interviews with our guests from the international cosmoethical conscientiological community. In this edition, we'll discuss self-care and consciential health and Scheveitzer. Tonight, we'll have 2 guests. They are authors of the book Self-Care, A Dynamic Approach to Integral Health, first published in Portuguese in 2021 and translated into English in 2022 and Spanish in 2025. I'll introduce our guests after the opening. Stay with us. The first one is Fernanda Schveitzer. She's a Brazilian physician, a specialist in occupational medicine from the Brazilian Medical Association, National Association of Occupational Medicine, and graduate in medicine at Federal University on Santa Catarina. She is currently a volunteer researcher and speaker on projects dedicated to health, education, self-care, and integral health. She's a Conscientiology volunteer since 1999 and currently a volunteer of International Association for the Expansion of Conscientiology. Welcome, Fernanda.
Hi, João Paulo. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for this invitation.
Thanks for accepting our invitation. And her sister is the next guest. She's Mariana Schveitzer. She's a nurse and university lecturer with a postgraduate, a PhD in science and master in nursing. She is specialized in acupuncture and public health. She is currently an assistant professor at the Department of Preventive Medicine at the Medical School from the Federal University of São Paulo. Volunteer of Conscientiology since 2013, a Penta practitioner since 2019, and currently a volunteer of Unicin and Actolab.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Mariana. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you too. And to begin with, the first question is, are self-care and consciential health naturally integrated or not?
Good question. I'll begin. Mariana, please help me. But I understand all self-care is all actions, all small things we can do to take care and to balance our own health. In this perspective, self-care is always integrated with health. And in conscientiology, considering our paradigm, consciential health. This health considering all our lives, our bodies, different dimensions, energy interactions, and other phenomena we explore and study. So Inevitably, yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, we wrote this amazing book about it if you want to learn more about how it is integrated. And in the book, we explore how our different definitions of self care, but as Fernanda said, always connected to action. So, what do you do? What did you do this week, this last month about your self care, about your health? And then, if you could think about amplifying these paradigms, how you could include consciential health, your body, your energies, your thoughts, how this is all connected with your health. So it is also part of the traditional complementary integrative medicines. They invite us to think about our health in an integrated way. So yes, it is connected. And it's a task for us to be able to develop in this integrative way.
And by the way, your website is down below on the video description. If anyone wants to go there after the live and check out your all the material is very complete. You can buy the book. You can see them all the very good material, very interesting. I saw it before, and I will remember this later when we later on. And another thing, how was the idea to write this book? You guys are both working with health anyway, and how the idea began.
Yes, so we're sisters and we grow up in a island in the south of Brazil. It's called Florianopolis. It's a very nice place. It's very good weather. And we grew up in a family where self-care is part of the way we behave. So we have a mother that she's a physical educator, and our father, he's connected to the nature. Our grandfather had a farm. So we have like this interaction with many animals and how you treat your food, and then you grow your vegetables. But especially after I finished my PhD, I came back and I told Fernanda that maybe we should start writing about the way we understand health and the way we understand self-care. So it was kind of like that, right?
Yeah, it was an idea of we always have patients we talk about, we discuss, and sometimes it's even somebody in the family that we could, oh, how can we help this person? What's going on in a broader way, in a more amplified perspective. So we decided to organize this knowledge and all these different traditional and alternative medicines we apply in this construction to also offer some tools to people do this for themselves.
Very good.
Yes,
And
and we
it,
have been
oh,
offering
Aaron,
workshops about it. Yeah, a long time, because people really think it's easier when you try to put like on your self-care canvas, on your timeline of health, disease, and care, and this is all available so people can download and use it for free.
yeah, there's many very interesting things in the website, and it's in Portuguese, in English, and there's some things in Chinese as well, right?
Yes, the self-care canvas, this tool that we invite people to organize the way they think about self-care. Because usually when we start to do most times, even in any area of health, we want to resolve everything in one day. Like, oh, I'm going to start the diet on the Monday, and then my exercise, and then I want to do everything all together. And then if you try to do that, and probably you have tried before, you're not going to be very successful. So we invite people to maybe choose one thing and then apply every step of the self-care method that we develop to help people.
Nice. And in Conscientiology, you guys know that we study past lives and what we call we heritable. We have heritable traits, and how we connect and we identify these heritable traits from the past lives through your study in self-care.
It's interesting because our self-care, it's an approach that is it's connected to our self-research. So when we understand more how do we work, how this body works, how do we feel our emotions, and and compare this with our families or our environment, for example, we can check there are some things that are more special or just not so common to everybody. So this is one possibility of suspecting, creating an hypothesis of maybe this is not from my environment, maybe I didn't learn this from my parents, maybe I brought this idea, this knowledge with me. And from where? From your paradigm, of course, from yourself, from your others, your other lives, your other learnings you have had. So, and also when we think about this biology, we must check what is genetic, and sometimes some traits in our body work differently from our family, or and we can suspect also this is something we brought from ourselves and not from our families and genetics. So every little difference counts.
It's a process to, as Fernanda was saying, of self-knowledge, of like self-research. So maybe if I have a disease, of a rare disease, nobody in my family have, maybe this is something that I could, investigate. Where is this disease from? What type of population this appears? What happens? And then by doing the self-research with the research method, as everybody, we can all be scientists, analyze systematically the facts and then develop a hypothesis and then bring this to analysis. So you can study your body, yourself. And of course, there is this term of paragenetics, that is the things that you can bring in your genetics from other lives. Maybe you can amplify. Usually in our workshops, we invite everyone to think, how did you feel when you were a child or when you were a teenager? What types of diseases or, health procedures practices did you use? And also we invite people to think upfront. So what kind of diseases my family has as an elderly in my family, like diabetes or hypertension? Maybe there's a risk for me to develop that. And we can amplify this timeline considering past lives. So this would be a very interesting exercise.
Yeah. So you're saying that self-care is not only a way of you take care of your health only, but you assess and you research and self-research all your traits and characteristics, right?
Yeah, true. And sometimes we all know maybe somebody that is more optimistic or even more happier. Sometimes people say this person is always good, always good. And this is not typical in that family, in that space. So these temperaments we have are expressions of our own paragenetics also. The way we deal with emotions, we deal with problems, and this is an essential part of our self-care, because everybody has situations to deal every day.
Yes.
So it's important to consider our abilities to deal with your own body and our health and family life. This is part of our self-care too.
And it's interesting because conscientiology is not the only, scientific area that has been investigating this relation. For example, there are many different areas that investigate why a child, have like are born deaf, and then they have this memory of a past life where they felt on this ear from a building, and they remember and they investigate it. And this is very interesting because, you know, some channels on TV or series, they like to investigate this. But there are several scientists in different universities studying this type of histories and stories of people and how they connect with past lives, and how sometimes this can present in the body as a mark, as a scar, as a birthmark. So if you have a birthmark or maybe something that you were born with, maybe it's an invitation for you to investigate if you want to.
Well, yeah, that's very interesting because, by the way, we study in conscientiology and serexology our hollow memory, which is the memory we have not only for this life, but everything that happened with us throughout our lives in series, our serexology. And how your study in self-care can elucidate and develop our access to our hollow memory.
Well, I see when a person begins to deal with their own issues in health. For example, Mariana brought this case of death, but we have some other situations. You have a pain, your leg hurts, no reason. You go to all doctors, all investigations, nothing serious, nothing explains. So maybe this is not physical, it's energetical. And then we begin to transcend our traditional knowledge, our social ideas of solutions. And then if it's energetical, it came from somewhere. So what's the story of this situation, this pain? And then the person can, for example, go to an acupuncturist that is a little bit more connected to energies, because we have a lot of different lines of acupuncture, okay? But then the acupuncturist says, oh, it was a really complicated trauma here. What did you do in this life? Nothing. But I remember something from a past life. Then I have a very strong trauma and in this leg. So it's one more evidence this person could consider in their research from this life, that because sometimes we have these retrocognitions, we remember something, but it's not organized, or we don't have all the ways to check that information. But when you begin investigating your own health, sometimes you have these situations. You could have more evidence of this remembering you've had. So this is a way, for example.
It's a kind of healing for the in this life you heal something to prevent, to do not have this in the next lives, for example.
Yes.
Okay. So every action you take for your self-care in this life, you can not only, bring this in this life, but also in the other one. So every action you take by recycling some of your traits, or investing in your emotional intelligence, it will stay with you. It will not be lost. So you can always work on yourself at any age, and then you can collect this in your next life, in how you organize your next life, and where you want to, be born, or how do you want to work in your next life. So it's interesting how self-care can consider the past and then the future. So it's always a good reason to invest on it.
True. Yeah, you can think both in time, in the future and the past as well. Yeah, very good. Diane is asking one question for you. Self-care encompasses various areas of life, but in conscientiology, is there any specialty more directly linked to this topic, to your study?
We usually consider this area of care. In English would be something like carology, but
But
in Portuguese we have this.
I think she's talking about the specialties in conscientiology,
Yes,
maybe
yes, yes.
genetics and
Yes, so we have this analogy specializing in care. It would be in Portuguese cuidadologia, or in English something, maybe it's not translated yet, but something like carology. And we have also these all the health. So consciential therapy would be also very linked to our studies.
And also parasurgery. So if you think these institutions like Ectolab, or also that studies, for example, ectoplasm and the research of the health, these areas could be really connected to the specialities of conscientiology. Of course, also other areas like celiaxology can also benefit from the study of self-care. But for example, when we have every week in Iguaçu Falls and also in other cities in Brazil, we have the parasurgery dynamic, and this is something that people can participate by distance, so they can submit their names and why they want to receive a parasurgery in the website of Ectolab, and then they wait in their homes, and then they sleep or they rest during the time of the parasurgery, and they can benefit from other people in the dynamics, working on their energies, trying to equilibrate themselves and treat other types of consciousness that are not only in this dimension but in other dimensions. So maybe this is also a speciality in related to self-care, because to be able to assist others, we need to take care of ourselves. And this is very much the basis of conscientiology, to do assistance, to be cosmoethical, to do cosmoethical assistance. So self-care will be related to that. And if anyone wants to learn more about it, just look about Ectolab website, and all information is there.
so the parasurgery can be done from far away, right?
Yes,
The patient, the assistant doesn't
Yes.
have to be there with you.
Yes.
It can be
And
anywhere in the world, right?
yes, and there's a lot of evidence, not only in conscientiology, but how we can influence the outcome of someone that is going through surgery. So there has been studies related to prayer. There has been study related to just, just sending energy, but not related to the conscientiological paradigm. And when they look at these patients, half of them received these prayers or distance healing, and the others did not. This group of patients, they'll stay less time in the surgery. They'll be using less products like, breathing or help to do some aspect of their recovery for the surgery, and they will have better outcomes. So something happens. We cannot really explain it through research, but the evidence about the outcomes and what these patients have been exposed to influences. So yes, if you're going through a surgery, think about, asking for some assistance.
Mm, very good. And you just said about the advantage or characteristics about the self-care. We can think from the past to the future. But how this culture of self-care in our society can be developed, or maybe from the beginning of life in the children, or you know what I mean? How can these be developed and can benefit people from the childhood on?
This is really good.
Please.
Yes, we have been working in type of publication that is more related to the adolescents, especially. So in the website, you can find this. This is a comic book. It's called in English, Workshop of Life, where we try to bring a story, and then adolescents can relate it to it, and then they can develop their life skills and also self-care. And in this comic book, it's very interesting because it's like activities that you can do at any age. And we know today that as soon as we start to invest in self-care, is better for the children, is better for the family, and is better for adolescents. So we have lots of research showing how we should invest on these in schools, in also spaces where families participate, and at any time is beneficial.
And for us that are already adults, we have some other tools as well. We could apply a conscienciogram. There is a self-research book with 1,000 questions or 2,000 questions. And we have sessions specifically for the body, physical body. We have a section for energetic body, for psychosomatic body, for mental body, and for other aspects of our temperament. So we have tools for all kinds of complexity. Because the way is this one Mariana was telling us, education. When we are younger, we need to receive more information, but as soon we are a little bit more older, we can also connect to more complex tools. We can now apply it by ourselves too.
And it's interesting because even like for older adults, we have evidence today that if they are losing their hearing ability and they invest in using the hearing aids or equipment to help them hear better or look better, some older people, they don't want to use glasses, but this we have evidence today. If they use the hearing aids, if they invest in glasses, or even if they don't have some teeth and they put a new teeth, this is very good for your mind and help you to prevent dementia. So at any age, there are several actions that we can do to, promote our better health and the health of our brain and the health of our body. So this is very good age.
And Alzheimer or any degenerative sickness can be prevented with self-care. And also, is this possible to be a trait or energy or something from the past lives, and now it comes?
We could say maybe it would not be preventable, but it would be manageable. Self-care would help to bring more life quality, more wellness, more stability, comfort. So sometimes it's hard because maybe some of our diseases are not possible to be healed in one life. Maybe it's an expression of our temperament, our structural consciousness that needs more time to be healed, more time. So when we bring in our book the FEMA method, this method we propose with 4 steps, the third step is move, make some movement. We don't talk about healing, because healing is part of the process, but we never know when we are going to get there, right? Some diseases are not possible to be healed, maybe, or preventable, but okay, we can influence the process in this way. Yes, we could apply at any case.
And it's
Sometimes it's too
interesting.
complex, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mariana.
No, but today we know that most diseases, especially chronic diseases, they are related to lifestyle. So if we can, because lifestyle also means recycling habits, and this is very hard. Today we know there's no safe dose of alcohol. All alcohol is bad for your brain. So if you manage the use of alcohol and you use as less as you can, or when you use it, you understand this harms you, then maybe if you recycle the way you relate to alcohol, this can benefit your health and then prevent diseases that are related to the use of substance or the habits that are not so good for your health. But it is a very complex habit, and it's a very complex way of understanding. That's why in our method, as Fernanda was saying, the self-care canvas, the first step is to identify what you want to work on. And then before you move, the second step is to embrace what is the meaning of this disease, what is the opportunity, and what is the limitation of a disease. Because in our workshops, every year we have a course on self-care and integral health, and we have over 700 people already. And it's very common that they say, this disease was the best thing that happened to my life. I could rethink my habits, I could rethink my relationships with people, and I could rethink the way I was living my life. And this is very hard to hear because, when you are sick, you don't want to be sick. Nobody wants. It's not fun. Nobody's like, oh, I'm so glad. No. But after some time, usually this is the response we get. So to think about health and disease as this cycle of your body healing and taking care of itself, this is an invitation of the consciential health paradigm, and also an invitation from different health paradigms. For example, Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, from China, from India, they invite us to think health and disease as this cycle of the body taking care of itself. So this is a different approach also.
Yeah, different and very unique at the same time. And Diane is asking another question. I could consider self-care. I'll put it for you. I consider self-care a fundamental topic, especially with the holistic perspective that you two bring. But is there a limit or a situation where self-care becomes excessive and inappropriate?
Yes, we have been seeing, for example, skincare with child. It's growing numbers. And we're like, what did you do for your skin when you were a child? This is not part. So sometimes self-care, it's related to a very wealthy industry that sells a lot of skincare. No problem in skincare. It's like a product, not the way you understand your skin, or bubble bath or products that are very good to sell. So we need to understand the invitation we do when we connect self-care with consciential health, with integral health, is to understand that everything is connected. It's not a product. It's not something that you want to buy. And this is very tempting. Everybody would love to have a pill that would solve all of our problems. Everybody would do that. Would like to buy that. But, integrative medicine, these different practices, they bring to us this reflection that your health, your self-care is related to your habits, to your thoughts, to your energies. So this is where you should focus on instead of buying products. That's not the. But of course, you need medication if you are sick. You need a product to protect you from the sun. If you're going outside, of course there is, but you don't need to have a whole bathroom full of things, for when you wake up or when you sleep, and then all the time. I don't know. What do you think, Fernanda?
Yeah, the wellness industry makes money, right?
Yeah.
So we need to organize ourselves to this. When we bring this idea of self-care and self-knowledge, we need also bring the cosmology, the perception we have about health and about the world. So we are not here just to consume, to have everything that is available. We need to balance what is for us, what is not, because it's a popular sense that the difference between the medicine and the poison is the doses. We all know that. So even in self-care, we have, for example, the orthorexia. Orthorexia is a kind of disease when people just eat strictly correct. So they cannot go to a restaurant because it's not controlled. They cannot go with the family to have some meal somewhere because people feel uncomfortable of not checking everything they are eating. So this is a social problem as well, not just a personal problem. And we have a lot of situations like this today. We have these offerings that are really not interested in our own health, in our own self-care, but it's like some any other product.
The beauty industry sometimes cross the line too far, right?
A lot.
And the old thing that someone said in the past, the between the poison and the remedy, the balance is the limit, right?
Yes. And it's so
Very
hard
good.
because we have already so much to take care in our own lives, and we also need to check what's real, what's not, what's the some offering that is really interested in helping, or it's just some book trap. And but it's like it is, it's part of the game.
And in your studies, the how can birth illness indicate past traumas?
This is very interesting because we have different areas of studies that are investigating. As I was presenting this case before of the child that was born with a problem hearing, and when they look at the organs, everything was perfect. The hearing, everything that was supposed to be there, was functioning, but the child was not possible to hear. So at the same time, we know that there are several children up to 7 years old that it's easy for them to remember past lives. And for a long time, we thought this was like a story. People would just wait to pass by and let it go. The child will forget. But today we can have a different approach on this in these situations. Maybe you can ask more to the child. What do you remember? What is in your mind? And of course, try to bring in a way that's not going to bring stress to the child, but is in a way that can help self-investigation, the family investigation for some aspects. So this can happen when there is, for example, this case. And as Fernanda was saying before, if they have a pain in an area of your body, or it's common, there are several cases where people have scars, birthmarks, and then it's exactly where they got shot in a past life during some types of battle, and then the birthmark is exactly there, and the person, or sometimes they have pain in that area. And after you understand, maybe you can do some exercises or maybe work with energy, and this can help. And even as Fernanda was saying, acupuncture, they do not treat only the body as materia, but also the energetic approach. So sometimes for people, it would be interesting for them to do massage, self-massage, Tai Chi Chuan. It's a very easy technique that will work with your body, but also with the energy of your body. Or you can do exercises with breathing, yoga, meditation. In our different workshops, we always invite people to try different practices because there are so many ways to take care of your body. Maybe sometimes you can explore different practices to benefit from it.
It's an interesting question, because sometimes I think if any disease we have are not connected to our whole past lives, somehow, maybe not the disease specifically, but the way we deal with it, because in these traumas we've had, and probably they were so many. When we study just one life, we have so many traumas to consider, small and big ones. But when we consider the possibilities of the past lives, the situations, the life was harder, was more complicated, less structure, less conditions. So somehow these small and big situations and traumas, they are all connected in this in body. And we look ourselves and see, oh, everybody has something, right? Everybody's not totally well balanced. So this is the result of all these situations we've 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 lived.
Yeah. In consecutivos, we have a kind of we study temperament. It's one of the our how can I say that one of our activities, and we attend people wants to know about their temperament, which is a paragenetic characteristic, and sometimes we see that traumas from the past lives. We can see if it's something it's from this life or older, and but we can't do any kind of therapy or something. And maybe you do this in self-care. Is that is
Yes,
this right? Is this okay?
it's interesting because, sometimes when you investigate traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine or the medicine that is from the Nepal area, they have a way of understanding diseases that is not only a diagnostic of disease, hypertension. They have a disease that the diagnostics will be, for example, excess of energy yang of the qi of the liver, in your body. So sometimes, if you can try these different practices, you're going to have different results that will not only treat one thing. And they explain the diseases by their way the people behave. So, for example, if someone is very choleric and they are angry all the time and they need to speak loud, this will, use lots of energy from the liver of the body. So maybe you can even use some phytotherapy, some herbs that can help you to take care of your liver. And it can, be influenced by past lives, but the medication, the treatment that you do today, they can really take care of the liver, not only in a very biochemical way, but in an energetic way, because, the plants will try to bring some information for it. Also, if you have like Ayurvedic medicine, they divide people in 3 different types: Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Every type of people, they can benefit from different practices. So, for example, if you're very agitated, a very, outspoken person, you can benefit from meditation. And if you are more slow person, you think a lot and then you do not take too much action, then maybe you need to do yoga practices that are more energetic, not so slow. So every type of practice, it's related to the not only the disease, but the temperament of the person. And this is very few ways of understanding people, because the Nepalese from this area, they have like 25 types of people. So I understand that we can benefit from understanding ourselves in these different approaches, and then the products that they will be, presented as possibilities: acupuncture, ear acupuncture, massage, cupping therapy, moxibustion. They influence very deeply energetic body and also the mental body, and of course the physical body. So this is interesting. What do you think, Fernanda?
Yeah, and this temperament, they define our face, our body structure in these traditional medicines. So it's not just about how do you express this in your life, in the way you live, but also you can visualize that, and maybe this expression would be present in other lives you study too. So, for example, in my family, I have a very small thoracic structure, a small thorax. I'm smaller than everybody else. And I have also a very unblocked diaphragm. My diaphragm muscle is very light. I can breathe really good and expand that. And this sometimes people who check this on me when they analyze me, they make some joke. Oh, maybe you were a yogi from the past. So people also make hypotheses from that, Oh, this is something you've made on that time, or you have some friends that are acupuncturists, Mariana is, and others, and then sometimes you say, oh, you are so good on that. Maybe you've made this so many lives, and also other professions, for example, in medicine, we have some physicians that are able to take care of themselves and some physicians that don't. We have a lot of physicians that live an unbalanced life too. So this suggests that it's not the knowledge they have on university that helped them. It's something else. Maybe it's in their temperament, the ability they have to manage with that needs, that situations. So a lot of different perspectives about temperament. And also one more, it's just something curious, but when I study past lives, I like to see the ear of the person, because the ear is also a microsystem in Chinese medicine that express your temperament. So maybe we have some historical figures that have busts or statues of them. And in this case, you can see these details. Oh, the nose, you see all of this. That
Everything
are
has a
considered
meaning.
expressions of temperament.
Yes. Like the size of your eyes, the size of your nose or your lips, everything has a meaning. Like if the person is more like choleric or more emotional or more depressing, type of person. So everything can be instrument for analysis.
Yeah, just the challenge is know if it's a genetic from this your current family, or is paragenetic. It it's yours from the past lives. It's very interesting. So you guys saying that aesthetics and the morphology can give us a lot of information in self-care and the understand our sickness and our good traits and healthy life, right?
And in the future, we will need to think about doing procedures, because in this life, we have doing like using braces and trying to do some surgeries. So maybe in the future, research of past lives will be like, is this person like this, or did they do surgery to change the way they look? So this is something that we need to think about.
Well, sometimes when people manage too much plastic surgeries and stuff, they lose sometimes
Yes,
some traits, important traits. So
yes, absolutely.
it's this kind of procedures. It's valid, it's good, it's nice. I think it's a very good thing, but sometimes it's too much and take out some important characteristics of ourselves. That's what I think. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, of course.
And
And maybe they unbalance our health too. For example, when we think auriculotherapy is very popular, even in Brazil. It's on our public health system, and we know some points in our ear can organize or unbalance some organs. So if you have a lot of earrings, maybe this is a problem. If you have an earring in your tongue, this unbalance a little bit your health, your heart meridian, your heart energetic meridian.
Of
So we
course,
need to consider these situations when we decide to make some changes.
Right. And Howard Gardner is a psychologist, American psychologist. He developed the theory, and in conscientiology, we study the evolutionary intelligence. What's the relation between self-care and the evolutionary intelligence? It's more as much as we care of ourselves, it means we have more evolutionary intelligence, or it's not related?
In the book, we have an invitation to understand self care as a triad. So it is the self knowledge, it is one, leg of this triad. And then we have the use of resources, what I'm using, to, maybe I'm doing auricular therapy, maybe I'm doing medication, maybe I'm going to the physiotherapist. So the use of resources, this is important for self care, together with the self research. And a third point that Fernanda already explained a little bit, that is the cosmovision. What do I want to do with my health? Why do I want to be healthy? For example, I maybe want to be healthy because I wanted to look in a certain way and, have a special shape of body. That's why my health will be for this. Or maybe I want to be healthy because I want to play with my grandchildren. So that's my main focus of being healthy. So this cosmovision, it's related to the person. So depending of the objective of the why they want to be healthy or what they want in life, that's how they will probably manage their self-care actions. And sometimes it will be evolutionary, thinking about your next life or recycling your traits, but sometimes it won't. It happens.
Yeah, it's we also bring in the book 10 principles of consciential health, and in some of principles are paradoxical. For example, sometimes we decide to renounce some health, to some sleep or some relaxed time because we have a goal, we have a purpose. Could be a existential purpose, could be something really important that would make difference in the world. And but for achieving that, I need to don't sleep this night, or to not give to not keep my care so attended for a while. So this paradox in health shows how our self-care is complex, because if our main purpose in this life would be keep all the time this body and our health balanced, maybe we could not achieve other goals we need to, because life is not so harmonical, right? Not so perfect. Then I would say this: what answers this question? What is a good reason to give up some health? This is the evolutionary intelligence. This answer would be there, because in this math, this worth this renounce. I'm paying with my own health to achieve something. It works.
And I know that you that work with integrative medicine, it's kind of way of you see the whole thing, the whole body, and the holosoma, right? The four vehicles we have. Do you, for instance, work in each one? Sometimes when you have something that it's located in one specific body. Can be the energetic body, can be the mental body, can be the, the material body, or you work with the whole thing all the time.
Sometimes we see this have a predominant aspect. So in this person, maybe he needs to embrace their own sickness, their own disease. So we are talking about emotions, about acceptance, embracing, compassion. And other person needs to understand, needs information. What's diabetes? Diabetes. Do you have any idea what your pancreas is doing? And some people need more energetic or uh, more structure to deal with this. The person is so disorganized. He is not capable of doing something, you know. And sometimes it's a somatic problem. You need to go to the hospital and have some medicine, spend some time there. So we have these predominances. Yes.
For example, it's always necessary to understand the parts and the whole. I think this is a very big task, because usually if we're not very, if you don't pay attention, it's easier to separate and think, oh, my diabetes, it's just organic. And then if you do that, then you're missing opportunities to understand how your body and your mind and your energies work. Or for example, if I think that my back pain, it's just, somatic, it's just, it's because I'm tired, because I'm working too much, because I'm exhausted. But maybe you could benefit from a chiropractor, because, maybe there are minor adjustments that are needed for yourself, for your body to behave better. So, the self-care exercise that we do is to first identify practitioners, practices that can help me understand my problem or my need or what I want to work on. For example, maybe I'm too hard on myself. And, maybe I tried therapy and it did not help, but maybe I can try meditation, because then I need to breathe, and then I need to open my chest, and I need to understand my body in a different way. So, it's the hard part about self-care is because many times you're going to fail. And that's okay. This is part of the process of understanding and recycling and maybe rethinking objectives and desires. Then you can try again. So that's part of it.
And in your approach, do you talk to the patient openly about what you're saying? I mean, if someone is a diabetic and have problems with this, but emotional problems, do you talk in your approach about the energetic, everything the way we're talking here now, or depends on?
Not always. It depends on the patient. Sometimes we have some religions that exclude some perspectives, and we need to try to walk with the patient through their own path. And even it could be an exception to bring something that is aggressive to the patient paradigm. Could happen, but only if we are very sure this intervention is important, and sometimes we need just to find a way to go in the perspective the patient have. But we have some tools. For example, we have symbolic meanings for the diseases. We have a lot of books about that. Tell me what it hurts and I'll tell you what you have, or something this in English, I'm not sure. But we have Meta Medicine, another book that I usually check. And for example, diabetes, in some perspectives, are the missing of the sweet in life. So this person has lost their what makes the life good. Then we can talk about these singularities. We can explore the meanings of the disease. Even in our method, we propose these questions: what is this disease limits or brings opportunities to you? And also we can bring some perspectives of traditional medicine. For example, the person has an asthma, and for traditional Chinese medicine, the lungs emotions are the sadness. So we can explore this with the patient. Oh, there are perspectives in traditional Chinese medicine when the lungs are connected with this specific emotion. How do you think about that? Or even in our pancreas, in diabetes, oh, pancreas is connected with the emotion of thinking too much, of being always worried about something. And then we can expand and go until where we can go.
And it's interesting because patients, they have excellent insights about their health. They'll be like, this happened after this happened in my life. That's when I got sick. And sometimes in biomedical approaches, we just like, let's hear the patient. It doesn't mean anything. But maybe if we can, open up to this story and ask, tell me more about this. How do you think this is connected? It's very important for them to make the connection and then to be able to think about solutions for themselves, because they have the insights and then they think, you know what, maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to talk to that person. And this is the process of self-care for them to understand how their body is working, to understand maybe how the diseases appeared and what can be beneficial for them in the long term. So it's interesting, this process, but we need to have these open conversations until where they can go.
How long you stay with your patient in your routine, at least?
How long I would like to be with a patient? I would say if we have 1 hour and 15 minutes would be amazing.
Yes.
We can do so much in this time. But if we have 45 minutes, it's good too. And even if we have a 20-minute talk, we can organize some ideas and consider some solutions the patient will go. And Mariana was telling the patients had a lot of insights, and this connects with your last question that sometimes the patient don't consider openly an energetic field, energetic body, but they bring the solution. I think acupuncture would be an option. Oh, my mother has an Reiki practitioner that maybe I should try. So they bring this in the practices too.
There is a lot of research showing that usually when the healthcare professional asks about what else are you doing, what type of practices are you doing, then the patient will be like, oh, I'm having this tea, or I'm going to the acupuncturist. So this is something that we can explore with patients. And there's also a lot of research showing that if we do not interrupt the patient in the first 2 minutes they are speaking, because usually physicians, they will interrupt like in 15 seconds or 20 seconds. And if we let the patient speak for 2 minutes, our outcome is better, because we will really understand the need of the patient. And of course, we don't need to do everything in one consultation, and we don't need to do as one practitioner. Ideally, when we think about Brazil network primary healthcare, it is ideal to think about this patient coming to the primary healthcare unit, receiving healthcare for the healthcare team, embracing it, understand what is their need, and then we can, tell them they can go to the physician and maybe to the acupuncture, or maybe to the ear acupuncture practice or the Tai Chi practice at the healthcare unit. In Brazil, this is a reality, especially where I live in the state, in the city of São Paulo. 90% of our primary healthcare units, they offer complementary therapies. So people can have access to this. And this is very popular in many areas of Brazil. And it's very interesting. In the south of Brazil, usually they use more acupuncture and ear acupuncture. And in the northeast and the north part of Brazil, they use lots of plants and, medicinal plants and phytotherapy. So this is very interesting. So people are using different approaches, especially after the pandemic. I think it opened up many areas of understanding health and care in different areas.
Nice. And what if a patient comes and if he has any problems in his body, in the physical body, and you think that deep down inside it's an emotional problem? What do you do? How are your approach in this case? The source of the problem is emotional, not physical.
Sometimes when we are with the patient, uh, in my case, not in the first consultation, sometimes we'll have some insights of the source of that problem. Even sometimes we can have retrocognitions of that patient. And this help us to understand how deep this is structured in that patient. This helped me to organize my compassion as well, because this is so strong. This the condition this person has organized, that way of living, that adaptation, and we need to, in every case, we cannot say there's a common way to dealing with this, but we need to consider these inspirations. Okay, so in each way, this person first needs to structure their self-confidence sometimes, or maybe they just need some emotional intelligence to deal with this, or maybe they just need someone to keep to be there, to give them the possibility, of going on. And it depends. It's really complex, but sometimes you need to shake your patient, bring something a little more impact, with more impact, but it's not the common way. I would say that too. And not disagreeing with this patient, not disconnecting with them, is what make a consultation productive, even if it's too small. If we have, we know that we feel that sometimes we have 10 minutes with a person we love, and that 10 minutes would fool us. So this happens in the relation between the therapist and the patient as well.
Usually,
Sometimes the patient comes with a complaining. It's a objective complaining, don't know, pain or something. How you explain these to him? He wants a medicine or something very quick and objective.
Sometimes, yes.
How you come with this approach?
it's interesting because we have seen different approaches growing in different areas. For example, there was this physician in Paraná that she realized that most of her patients, they had this kind of, emotional aspects of their selves that they were not treating. And there were lots of pain and lots of reclaims and, difficult work on the primary healthcare unit. So she decided that she was going to start to have forgiveness workshops in the primary healthcare unit. And now she has been doing forgiveness workshops. She has even an Instagram. It's Oficina do Perdão, so forgiveness workshop, where she explained the method she uses to invite people to do, forgiveness for themselves, because forgiveness is not something that you do for others, you do for yourself, and the way your brain works will change. So we've seen them doing this. In Brazil, we also have communitary integrative therapy. This is a practice that's very popular in Brazil, where people get together and then they talk about their lives and their issues, and they can connect and they can create a community. So sometimes you will always need to answer the primary demand of the patient. So I have this pain, I have this. So you need to connect with them. But then afterwards, you can also suggest other practices that they can try, because maybe you can try to explain to them how complex every aspect of life and health and diseases are connected. So we have seen that several things do not work. For example, if you try to do something that's very protocolized, or everybody do the same thing, so you have a patient with pain and then you always treat the same way, this won't help. There's a professor, Gustavo Tenorio, asks and he invites us to do the anti-protocol. So how do you individualize the practice? How do you try to understand that patient story, that patient needs? And sometimes you can do very easy practices. For example, there's this Toyota method, the 5 whys. So why do you think you have this pain? But why do you start to do that? And every time you do a why, the patient opens up a little bit, and then the insights come, and then probably several different practices can show up from that. So it's interesting to open up to that. And the last thing I would say is that most neuro types of studies try to understand our brain and how we work, and usually they explain that we always want to be in control. So sometimes we can give a very hard evidence that if this patient, they do not treat their diabetes, it's gonna be a big chance of them losing their vision. And this is important. Information is important, but the moment you want to tell them what to do, our brain, it shuts down. It shuts down everybody. So it's to lose your time to try to tell someone what they should do, because our brain actually, neuroimaging shows us it blocks. So it's actually losing your words. So don't do that. But be empathetic, be there, listen, support, and always bring the information and build up this, connection between the patient and the professional. This can really help.
All right. And one last question. When you treat people and sometimes you see that the problem is the group karma or the family or the people around them, friends, co-workers or something, how do you deal with this?
We need to help the patient to understand this as well. So this self-research, it's not something just for special patients, for the ones who can access to this intellectualized way of taking care of themselves. No, it's for everybody. People know they have their relation problems. Oh, I know in this group, in my house, and something. And this is part of the connection, because when we talk about embracing, it's not just embracing our own problems, but embracing our situations, our family, understanding this is part of who we are, and also understanding and embracing our past experiences from other lives, because some retrocognitions aren't easy, aren't soft. They bring our most complex and maybe hurtful traits. So we can apply this in any situation, and organize or planify these solutions. Okay, so my family is this way. I have this. What can I do now? What can I do today? What can I movement right now? And what I cannot, I must plan for the future as well. And we can help the patient to do that. For example, I've had one patient that her suffering was she didn't have any money for the small things they need in their own life. So we have a meeting in the consultation. The kids came and we organized it. We manage it. Okay, so 5 reals, 5 reals for mama. She needs to to buy anything she wants, and we have a solution. Okay, now you have your 5 in the time. Maybe today it would be 20 reais, 20 reals would be $3, right? It's a small amount, but it means autonomy to her, you know. So we just have this meeting, and in also Mariana was telling about this practice in Brazil. Remember me again? I don't know how to say.
Community therapy, integrative community therapy.
Integrative community therapy is specialized in groups as
Yes.
well.
Mm-hmm.
What people could do to help each other to bring a solution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes the environment is the source of the sickness. The environment it's must be, you know, cleaned or changed or something
Yes.
and make that
And this
people.
is mostly important if someone dies, someone, it's not a person in this dimension. It doesn't end. The person, in another dimension can come back or can be together with the person, for example, a widow or someone that does not recycle everything. So this is why is it so important to understand the relations and to be able to be open about it, especially if you're an older person and then you want to maybe reconnect with a child or with a son or with a brother, a sister. Do not waste too much time. Bring this person, put limits. Sometimes it's a very complex relation, but try to be like the best you can do in this relationship in this life, because otherwise it will be something that you need to, go back again in the next one. So it's always good.
Very nice. So, guys, I think it's a wrap. That was very good to have you with us. I thank you for all your care with us and audience. And by the way, I would like to ask who's watching from the Facebook or YouTube to hit the like button down below. And to remember, there is the link for their website where you have all the information, the books and the courses and videos and a lot of things in the website. It's very complete. So I leave if you have something to add, I'd like to thank you. And what you feel free to say what you want to say to finish with our audience, please.
Yes. I'll just like to add what we could uh, observe during our conversation here. The Seriaxology, the comprehension of past lives helps so much in this body, this health, this self-care. We can be, because in this integral health we study, we talk so much, we cannot be integral without these other experiences we have been accumulating so long. So personally, I consider the person who can bring this together, the research of past lives and the self-research uh, for self-care would be the best way.
Yes, I agree. And I also would like to point out too that it's very important in this process to be patient, because sometimes when we start to investigate, we want very fast answers and we want to learn exactly the person that we were, but we can get so much information for what we understand that we have like connection, maybe with a culture, maybe with some types of food that they really like. All of these can be elements for your self-investigation. So, and of course, all the courses that we have here with Consecutivos can help us to identify, oh, maybe I connect with this area, maybe I really like to study this, and then to have patience, invest in yourself, in your habits, in your lifestyle, in your energy work, energetic work, in your emotional intelligence, that over time, this will all be able to help you understand in your life as total. So this demands patience. So best of luck.
Good. So thank you once more, Fernanda. Thank you once more, Mariana. And we hope you all had a good time and good reflections. Consecutives is on air every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Brazilian time zone, with one of the 5 different channels inside Mnemo channel. See you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.